So Utopia's best deck.
Utopia, best deck. Exceed Summoning is unique, but Fusion Summoning is just better. So as of yesterday, because it's the next day, I went to the Louisville, Kentucky Regional and got third place, scoring me this awesome deck box here and the qualifier map for top 8. I got third place playing Branded Despia. A little bit of a different list. A lot of people play 50, 55, 60. After testing, I went down to 45 cards, and it took me a while, but it's what we ended up with, and it did really well. So I want to give you guys my deck profile and let you guys see what the goo was.
All right, let's see what you got.
All right, so we're going to talk about the monsters first. It's the most important part of the deck, next to the spells that the monsters search. So for the Despias, we play 3 Aluber. This card is the basis of the deck. I summoned Aluber, I think, every game that I got to play. If I didn't summon Aluber, it just felt kind of weird. 1 Quem. This card, when I first got it, it felt very low impact. It didn't do anything by itself. It's a 2-card required combo card. It's kind of ass. But playing with it after the regional, this card came in clutch in my final round in my round 6 versus Snake Eye, and this card kept me alive and let me beat my opponent through just grinding. This card was insane. And the 1 Tragedy, which searches these cards, but more importantly, you banish it to reset your branded cards in the follow-up play, so your opponent just takes the L when you're top decking. Because it never feels like you're actually top decking with this deck.
Never top decking.
Never top decking. For the Albaz card, super important. 3 Cartesia. Even in 60, 50, or 40, I think 3 is mandatory. This card with Branded Fusion is the Game Puppet Lock. This card by itself, with some cards on field in hand, lets you dodge imperm and targeting effects, but also lets you build a board without having to use your most powerful cards. This card was nice. 3 Albaz, has to be 3. A different tech that I chose. Some people play 3 or 1. I played 2 Albion. It's still broken up Star Goblin, but you want to not Albion into Albion, which I am notorious for doing because I suck. But Albion was a super insane card. I was sending Retribution all day with it, adding back the follow-up to play through my Branded Fusion's activation being negated. I was sending Albaz to special the Cartesia, or sending Albaz to bring back off the Quem to fuse with their board, and while I'm playing into their board, it was nuts. And then 1 Mercurier and 1 Spriggan's Kit. Mercurier, nothing to say, monster negate, gold Slark target, this card's nice. Kit was something that I put in for 45 because I needed a 45th slot, and I chose over the 3rd Thrust, mainly because I didn't have it. But I wanted a 45th card, and it wanted to be a starter, so I chose this card. This card was kind of okay. It was a couple times where I ended up searching it, but I had to play out the last card in my hand, so kind of my mistake, but this card was okay. It'll probably leave itself after this profile and go to be something else, but for now it was alright. Whoops. For the 1-ups though, 1 Saronir, 1 Lebellion. Cards are great. I drew Saronir 3 times during the whole event, this 45 card list. It came up twice versus my opponent's Bestials. Lebellion places Lost, best card in the deck, so Lost is broken, this gets the Lost, gotta be a good card. 1 Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. I'm sorry, you have to do it. I know last profile I talked about how I didn't have to do it to win. I had to do it to win. Senpai is scary, Snake Eye is scary, Melodious Snake Eye is scary. So yeah, this card just had to come in, and it did what it had to do. And this was the real spice. This is what really led me to play Branded this tournament. I was going to drop the deck and pick up Centurion and do whatever I had to do to get a different deck, but the Shaddoll engine is just really, really good. So I just played the 1 Dragon in the main deck. You'll see in my side deck, there's some goo there. Obviously, you can probably figure out what it is now. But Dragon came up a lot in theory, because going first into game 1, you do this, but going second, your send targets off Branded Fusion don't really help you impact the board, especially if you've already normal summoned, because usually you send Tragedy and grab your starter. So I want something that I could send that helps me clear my opponent's interruptions versus my play, so I can build a board / kill them. And Dragon was that card that let me do that by outing back row. With Dragon during the entire event, I popped a skill drain, I popped a set D barrier that forced its interaction so I wouldn't lose to activating super huge amounts of cards and stuff like that. And it's really good for chain blocking the Lebellion, so it already resolved. But that was really good. That was it for the monsters. I think it was 19 or 20. Onto the spells and traps, branded cards. 1 Retribution, goated. 1 Lost, absolutely goated. Brandon and White, the tech card. Versus the Castira player, he was waiting. He prosped and added Ash Blossom because he saw what I was playing a few rounds before. And instead of sending Retribution and then sending Branded Fusion and losing to Ash, I sent Brandon and White after discarding an Albaz for an effect. And ended up being able to use this and play around the Ash and dodging different lines of play with it. So that was super cool.
Why didn't you play more Lost?
Lost at 1 feels fine because Lebellion can get to it, but Lost is also good if your hand is good enough to fuse using good cards. So for Lost to be justifiable, you have to open a fusion spell, and if it's not Branded Fusion, it's a normal fusion spell like Branded Wire Poly. You have to have 2 really good fusion targets for this to be applicable and useful. So that's why I've only played 1 Lost. For the rest of the branded cards though, I played 2 branded in red, and 3 branded fusion and 3 branded opening. 2 branded red is something to talk about. I played 2 because I felt like 1 wasn't enough, and it really helps you play around imperm and stuff. I know everyone talks about that in every deck profile, but it really does. But this card is just so sick. It makes Guardian Chimera. It makes Queritus when you're about to get nibbed. It does so much. I had 2 games where I made it. I set it. It got popped, but I had the second one to play through it, and I won the game. Came up my last round. Came up in the round beforehand. It was just really good.
How many times did Branded Fusion get ashed?
4. If I didn't get ashed, I got debarriered on 1 of them, so 5 times it didn't resolve, but in all 5 times where I got hit with those cards, I won anyways because the deck's like engine is so strong. So that's something. Fusion deployment and opening are just broken e-tellies in this deck. This summons Albaz, this summons Cartesia, this summons Aluber/Quem to get your plays going, so if you draw both, you're pretty much in there. For the 1-ofs, 1 call by, never drew it, 1 foolish, it's kind of okay, 1 gold cycler, the best 1-of, banishes Tragedy, banishes McCourier. In the stall matchups, you banish like your evenlies and stuff like that, and you just add them back 2 turns later, and then you win. Non-engine, 1 fusion dupe. Got to use it once, it was okay. In theory, it's really sick, so I'd still play it. 2 thrusts, kind of sick, I know, why not the 3rd? I don't own the 3rd. We sold the 3rd because we suck, and I thought I wasn't going to be playing this deck. But it turned out fine. Every time I do thrust, it searches me a Shaddoll Fusion in the side deck that you'll see, and it searches me a talent, so it was good. 3 talents. In Deadass Theory, I kind of feel like this is better than this. This, after hand trap, lets me hand rip my opponent, which I did twice, or take your opponent's Appaloosa, which I did game 1 versus the Snake Eye player. It was kind of insane. But the real best non-engine card in this deck is 100% Droplets. You have just so many quick play spells and monsters that already use their effect on summon that let you just waste the Droplets and send as many cards as you want to. Versus the Snake Eye guy, I activated Droplets in response to his Hope Harbinger and sent 4 and still OTK'd him. So you can basically send your whole hand and just win.
Man, sending 4?
Sending 4. You send the normal spell you activated, you send the quick play spell, you send the Cartesia, and you send 1 more card out of your hand, and you just win the game.
Well then.
I know, necessary, but that was the main deck. It was 45, something that not a lot of branded players are used to, but worked out for me today. Like I said, I probably cut the kit and switch it out for probably the 3rd Albion, if I'm being honest, or 2nd McCurry, just something to help me like protect my plays as I'm building a board.
What was your hardest matchup?
So that was round 1. I played versus the Yugi Shining Sarcophagus deck. That deck was really weird because I didn't understand how most of it worked. And game 1 ended up going for like 25 minutes. That was a really hard match for some reason. But then my last round opponent was playing Runic Chimera, and that deck was scary. I couldn't clear a Chaos Angel for like 4 turns. And then game 2 we ended up drawing, but I won because I won game 1. But yeah, that matchup was very scary. I just had to let him keep using his Guardian Chimeras and Magnums until he ended up just losing to me.
King Sarcophagus is like old school Abyss Actor. Like, you win because your opponent doesn't know what it is.
It's sketchy. It was really weird. But we'll move to this extra deck. Before I do, I want to give a shout out to my team. This is Team Quality. Got a cool sleeves, got a cool shirt, and we're even working on getting custom cool mats.
Ooh.
Got the clean, don't look at the green. But yeah, shout out to them. Taking me out to the event, helping me play, helping me test, getting me the cards I need when I couldn't afford them. It was really neat. If you're already watching this video, you're already looking at our channel, Quality YGO, you might as well subscribe because you're here. We make great content like this all the time. And soon you're going to see a lot more top 8s and stuff from not just me and my other teammates. Shout out to Sheldon Bryant, the guy behind the camera. Shout out to Lucas Clark, he couldn't make it because he's a dad, couldn't be me. And shout out to my boyfriend for letting me spend a obnoxious amount of money on this game and barely making it. So yeah.
I mean, you call 3rd place barely making it.
I mean, I'm the greatest.
Shout out to my 42nd place, you
Yes,
know.
sir.
You know. Anyway.
So for the extra deck, it's 2 Mary Jade, 2 Albion, 1 Lebellion, 1 Titaniclad, 1 Rimbrum, And then, I mean, come on, you gotta play them.
Obviously.
So I made every card here, hard made it off Branded Fusion at least once, if not 100 times, such as Mirror Jade and Albion. The best card out of these is definitely Albion. A lot of people talk about playing one Mirror Jade. I couldn't. My Runic Chimera guy, I made the second one all the time. The Cashier guy, I never got to make it because I didn't get that far, but in theory, you play 2 of these for the Unicorn. But yeah, these cards were all great. I use these all the time. Rim Broom was definitely the worst one, but the quick effect to bring back Albaz was sick. One Grand Goignol, I mean, this will never get stopped. You always make it when Brandon lost on the field, so you always get to send the Game of Puppet. I triggered the effect to tag out at least 5 times, 6 times to summon Quem from deck or summon Queritus from the extra deck, and it was nasty. One Queritus, just nuts. Making everything 0, going for the OTK line, or making everything 0 and keeping your board alive because they can't beat over you is super nice. The summon effect I didn't ever use. No one really played into it, but that's all right. But the reason you don't see tax striking here in the middle or with the Queritus is because I side decked it. I didn't think it was worth an extra deck slot going into a large scale event. In 8 rounds, I wanted almost every card in my extra deck to be useful in games 1 and 2, and not having to think about time's a factor. Because for this deck, you just Gimmick Puppet lock or lose. And if you're not doing that, then you're grinding for like 25 minutes, and that's a time factor, and I wanted that to be in my side deck, so that's why that's there. What's Stapelia, QCR coming soon. Lucas, give it to me. It's in the video, so you have to do it now. One Guardian Chimera, don't look at that. It's going to be QCR soon. I made this like 4 times. I made this, I think, every game I had to clear back row. Like, sending Dragon off Branded Fusion, clearing a back row, and then making this and clearing 2 back row was just disgusting. One Furious, I made it once versus the Tempai guy, and it came clutch where I added the field spell, and then I made Chimera with it and popped another card, so it was really good. One Magnum, didn't make this at all, but in theory this card's good. It would come up where like they clear one of your bodies on your Branded red, so you wouldn't be able to make this, but you could still make this, and this is still a pop. Never ended up making it, but I think I'd still play it. If not this, I would play maybe like Mysterion, or the second Lebellion came in clutch a couple times because this was getting impermed. And the last card, the sexy Apcalone, the fish girl, we love her. Post side, I side the Doll Fusions. I make this card a bunch. I resolved Serial Fusion 4 or 5 times, and every time I activated it, it was nuts, but we'll talk about why. My play is a little bit different than what most people go for, and I think it'll start to be a noticeable thing people do later in the future if people watch this and agree with how I agree. But yeah, this was good. Moving on to the side deck.
That's where the goo's at.
The goo. So we're going to talk about this right here. 3 Shaddoll Fusion. Duelist Alliance First Ed, don't come at me. And 1 Genius. So post side deck, I side deck Genius and Dragon to go into Apcalone. The reason I did that was because thinking into it, the Melodious Snake Eye deck is kind of weird. But if they don't make Hope Harbinger, or if it's not Melodious Snake Eye, and I resolve Shaddoll Fusion, you send Dragon, send Genius, make Apcalone. You Dragon 1, target the back row post side, because usually they always have one. Channeling 2 Apcalone, target Appaloosa, and then channeling 3 Genius, target another card. They'll usually Appaloosa this, and then the rest of their board is gone, and you can do whatever you want. All you have to worry about is hand traps. Against my opponent, I Shaddoll Fusion, and I targeted a Skill Drain I didn't know was back there and all that stuff. He flips Skill Drain, basically reduces his own Appaloosa to 0. And my monster, my Apcalone, still couldn't be killed by battle. I got to out his whole board off 1 card, and all he had afterwards was an SP, which didn't make any difference. So yeah, this card went in and went dumb. This card is wild. The card that didn't come up in my side deck at all, but I thought about really hard, was Foolish Return. This card was supposed to be the goo. This card in theory outs Promethean Princess. This card in theory also outs the Gimmick Puppet lock in the mirror match. When you play 45, I wanted as many cards to not lose to FTKs as possible and do stuff. But this card didn't come up. I would honestly replace these probably with like more Bestials in the side deck. Maybe like 1 more Saronir, a Magnuma, and then like a Druid Swarm, since Saronir is the best Bestial in this deck. 1 Duster, 3 evenly matches. I mean, come on. This card is kind of the GOAT right now. No one's really playing out of it or playing into it. Like, no one's making a board that like beats this card. Melodious Snake Eye, you hit them with this, they're probably just SPing away their board and keeping like a fire for Promethean, and then having follow-up. Doesn't really matter, you're dying with your Gimmick Puppet, sorry. This card was wild. I never got to duster anybody, but it's always there as a thrust target, so you have 3 of it. And going first, it's just 3D barriers. Card's too nice, beats everything, minus Snake Eye, but my deck by itself beats Snake Eye. Card was nice. If people can do it to me, I can do it to them. And the 1 Masquerade. Shout out to the Chimera guy who I played in the last round. This is super important to talk about. If I didn't side deck this card and I main decked it instead, it wouldn't have been as good, because that meant I would have had to have side decked Apcalone, which in theory is still okay since I don't make Apcalone game 1. You could swap these, but I always wanted the chance for this to be here and me not have to reveal information that I'm siding an extra deck card. That's kind of like inner thought plays that I didn't want my opponent to have on me. But if I didn't play this card at all, which I very much considered, I would have definitely lost in time to the Chimera player, had a draw, and I would have gotten 7 to 8 instead of 3rd, and I would have lost out on, my pretty deck box. So that's really it. That's all there is. The deck was nice. I kind of wish my teammates would have been up there with me, and I could have done a little bit better. Losing round 7 to Castira was my only loss. It was kind of unfortunate, but it happens. And yeah, hopefully I get first to the next one. I'm going to nationals this year. I'm going to hopefully try and represent for my team, get our name out there and stuff like that. Again, if you're watching this, you're watching on my channel, feel free to subscribe. We make content like this all the time. We're going to have some feature matches, going to have some deck profiles. It's going to be really nice. But yeah, that's all I really have to say.
All right, man, appreciate the profile. Do you have anything else to say?
Should all fusion's unfair. Melodious is dumb. And
Did you play against Melodious?
I played against Melodious Snake Eye.
Oh.
And 1 card equaled Appaloosa, Hope Harbinger, IP, Flameburge, Flameburge, Poplar with Promethean Engrave.
Yeah, I'm not equipped. I'm not equipped to beat that.
Yeah. Droplets for 4 plus Shadal Fusion is equipped to beat that. So
nice.
If you're watching this and you're playing Branded, consider Shadal Fusion. It is honestly a broken card. If they ash this, the rest of your plays are good, and if they don't ash this, you win the game. So.
All right, man. Well, appreciate the profile.
Yep.